AI is going to be everywhere, and people are not aware that the AI is already everywhere.
The speed and scale is now like you can just innovate so much faster than you could ever before.
I am much more scared than excited about the AI. I felt this urge to do something. What can I do? I know how to create communities, and I know that by creating communities and by having communities, that's the best way for you to share knowledge, especially in places where I personally cannot reach.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode. Our guest today is Gabriela, the director of AI at Microsoft. Gabriela is a trailblazer in the AI community with over 15 years of experience spanning industries like software, healthcare, and finance. She's not only a leader in AI innovation, but also an advocate for diversity and inclusivity in tech. As the founder of RLadies and AI Inclusive, she has empowered countless individuals to thrive in technology. Today, she joins us to share her journey, her insights into human-centered AI, and her vision for building a more inclusive tech future. So thank you so much for joining us today, Gabriela.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today. I know that we have a lot to talk about.
Our podcast is called 0 to 1, so we must start at the very beginning. So going back to the beginning, what inspired you to pursue a career in AI and data science? And I know you made a big move from Brazil to the US. So how did that journey shape your path?
I was never that person that liked computers or was into tech. So I was very much a outdoor person. And it's funny because growing up, I always liked animals and especially dogs. So first, I was thinking maybe I want to become a vet, a veterinarian. I was never like a good student, which is I always like to say because I wasn't. But then I had to decide to do something. So I decided to do actually engineering and statistics. In the end, finally, after several years, I was able to finish my undergraduate in statistics. So I became a statistician, what we used to call ourselves back then. And then became a data scientist, and then started working AI. So it was definitely a big move, as you mentioned, from Brazil to the US. I've been here in the Bay Area for 12 years. So all the time that I've been in the US,
Wow.
I've been here. I've never moved because there is so much going on here that it's hard for us to leave. There's so much opportunity. Here's where everything starts and happens.
Absolutely. Do you come visit New York every now and then? Because we both are based in New York, so just curious.
Not very often. I used to travel a lot, but then I'm not traveling as much anymore because there is so much going on here.
I know you've moved from hands-on technical roles to more like leadership positions as you are in one today. So what was that transition like?
Yeah, so that was an interesting move. The first time that I became a manager. It was definitely one of the biggest moves in my career because it was a completely different set of skills that I needed to have. And I knew that my day-to-day work was going to change. I was going to be having a team, and there is a lot that we need to do and support. When there was this opportunity, I was like, I don't know what to do. So my first thinking was like, well, let me talk to a bunch of different people and ask some people that made this transition to get some advice and suggestions. And a lot of them told me this, Gabriela, try it. You can always go back. So I said, okay, let me try it. And the team, it was also like interesting because they were my peers. So then I became a manager of them. But I remember when my manager, he invited everybody to a room and he was going to announce that. He was going to announce that I was becoming a manager and I'll be managing the team. When he said that, my peers, they clapped. They were so happy. And I'm like, phew, like I'm like relieved. That was very, very good because it was not as challenging as it could have been.
What do you think is the biggest change between being more like technical hands-on versus leading a team?
The biggest shift or change for me was being on meetings all day long. Like I had a lot of meetings, a lot of like strategy meetings, one-on-ones with my direct reports. meetings about what we are going to do, programs, projects, and so on. Because it's not about you anymore. It's about your team. So if your team succeeds, then you succeed. If your team fails, then you fail. The second piece, depending on how large the team is, you are going to be doing more like management stuff than coding. At Microsoft, for example, when I joined Microsoft, it's been 2 years. I joined as a manager, but I had a very small team. I had 4 or 5 people reporting to me. So it was half of my time doing like hands-on, pretty much, and half of my time doing the management stuff. When I was at IBM, I had larger teams, so direct reports. I had 15 people reporting to me, so it was hard to do hands-on. So I did some. I would do some demos. I would do some presentations, but I was not in the same velocity as I was doing before.
I'm curious to know, how would you describe a great manager in short?
A great manager for me, it's someone that is empathic in the way of like, they understand when you are talking to them and they don't diminish what you are saying. They are there to support you no matter what. And they are there also, like, of course, to remove blockers, because we are dealing with humans. We are not dealing with machines yet. So we are dealing with humans. So we need to treat the other person with respect, be an active listener. And then if possible, if the person wants, we can give some suggestions, advice, give some directions.
I really, really like that answer. So, of course, you've come a long, long way. You worked at big companies. You worked at IBM, working at Microsoft. I know you also do independent, like investing, angel investing. So you've been in a lot of industries, software, finance, advertising, and healthcare. So my question is, what's been the most interesting challenge or like opportunity when applying AI across such different fields? Because all these fields are, in a way, like completely different from one another, right?
Yeah, and that's a great question, because some of the work that I did in the past, we are not doing AI per se. We are doing more like classical machine learning. But I can talk like challenges in general. One of them was, as an example, when working with startups or for startups, we didn't have enough resources. And resources could be, maybe we don't have enough data. Maybe we don't have enough infrastructure. One example was I was working in this advertising company, and they had a lot of data, because they were doing all the real-time bidding. You know, when you have an ad coming up in a browser, but the data was in a place where me, as a data scientist, I could not access. So the first 6 months that I was working for that company, it was all about creating the data pipeline. So I could use the data they were collecting. So I had to work with the soft engineers to create this data pipeline, so then I could do my work. The other opportunity that I had was at IBM. IBM is the number one company in number of patents. Great. They have all these research papers. They have all this great innovation, but people are not aware. So I pitched to my VP back then an idea. I said, why don't we create something like an experience where people can come and use and try what the research team is doing. So it's not going to be something that is production ready, but it's going to be ready enough so people can see what we are building. So I pitched to the VP this, and he said, yes, that's a great idea. Let's do it. So I was able to build a whole team of data scientists, designer, back-end, front-end, project manager, where we would get the technology from research and then create a framework or something on top of the technology, something that would be easy for users to use, and they could experiment our cutting-edge technology.
That's very, very interesting. I feel like it's so hard to sometimes even explain to people when you're so technical, what do you do? So building something like that must have taken a lot of like effort and just a lot of thinking, I feel like. So hats off to you for that.
It was a great project. And funny enough, so that was 4 years ago. And then a few weeks ago, Microsoft launched something very similar, Foundry Labs, where they get some projects from research and then showcase what they are doing. So it's kind of like a similar thing.
You said your focus is not exactly on AI, but more so on classical machine learning.
That was back then, right? Yeah, that was back then because AI existed definitely, but we didn't have resources or computer capabilities to be able to use the theory.
Not at the scale that it is today. I feel like the last 2 years
No.
it has just like exponentially gone crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
So on that note, I'm wondering which subfield of AI fascinates you the most?
Well, I would say the voice. Voice would be like my first one. The easiest way for us to interact with AI system, in my opinion, is through voice. It's much easier and intuitive, and we talk faster than we usually type. The other one is around visuals. There is so much that we still need to do around visuals and image and video. And I'm a visual learner, so I like to see the visual side of things.
For people who are interested in, applying for the grant that Microsoft startups offer, do you guys have any specific, like looking to fund startups in specific areas, leveraging specific technologies? Or I think people would be interested in knowing what Microsoft startups is focused on, what type of startups they are looking for.
Let me explain a little bit about the Microsoft for Startup, the whole piece. There is a Microsoft for Startup organization that is inside the Microsoft. And there is a branch of Microsoft that it's a VC where they do fund startups. So it's called M12. So the M12 is like their its own organization, which is not the organization that I'm part of. I work with the Microsoft for Startups. So we don't fund startups. What we do is we offer benefit. We offer free credits, thousands of credits that you can use towards Azure. And inside Azure, you can use OpenAI APIs, and there are a lot of Gen AI models that you can use these credits towards. And anyone can apply. There is no criteria in the sense of area. There are some criteria that you need to be building a software. You cannot be a nonprofit because we have other programs for nonprofits. The other piece that is very important, because as a startup, you don't have enough money. So that's where the credits, it's great. But also you don't have enough people or sometimes technical expertise or business expertise. So we offer as well one-on-one sessions with experts, either on the technical side or the business side, to help you grow and scale your business.
Yeah, I think, thank you for mentioning this. The OpenAI credits saved my company for a while. So it was, for everyone watching this, I would definitely recommend looking into applying for the Microsoft Startups grant for sure.
So let's talk a little more about the things you've co-founded. So I know you co-founded RLadies and AI Inclusive, which have had such a big impact on the tech community. So tell us a little bit more about them for our audience that's watching.
Yeah, I founded both of organizations. RLadies, it was in 2012. I'll go and tell the whole story.
Oh,
so when I got here in San Francisco, one of the things that I discovered was there was a website called meetup.com where you could sign up and join a bunch of groups. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So I can learn data visualization. I can learn SQL. I can learn machine learning. I can learn different technologies. Like back then was Hadoop, Spark, and there were a bunch of groups. So I signed up for all of them pretty much. And I'm like, oh, great. So now I can learn for free all the technology and also meet people. And there is also a bonus that all these meetups here, they had free food. So I joked that I would go and learn, meet people, and then have dinner for free. So every night, pretty much my dinner was covered. There were a few things that I saw. One of them is people are doing this in their time after work as volunteer time. They were doing this because they were passionate about sharing their knowledge. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. They finish their work and they come here to teach us about something. In my mind back then was it's a cycle. You receive, you give back. That's what people are doing. So there is a continuation. I got to a point where okay, it's my time to give back to the community. And then I was thinking, what are the things that I know? What are the things that I can give back to the community? And I knew a little bit of R, which is a programming language similar to Python. And I'm like, why don't I start a R group where I can teach and share my knowledge and also learn with other people? I didn't want like an R general group because another thing that I realized going to those meetups was that there was not a diverse group of people. And I was like, okay, so I want to create a R group that is going to be more focused in a population like me. And it's going to be friendly and welcoming and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where RLadies, the idea of RLadies came from, where I wanted to provide this safe space where we all could come together, learn, share, and grow as a group. And RLadies became a big thing. And nowadays it's like pretty much all over the world. We have, I don't even know how many countries, but like 60 plus countries in more than 200 cities and more than 100,000 members. But in 2019, more or less, is when I founded AI Inclusive. 2018 is when AI was starting to be talked about, that people were using AI especially for security cameras and a lot of other cases. And there were a lot of discussions, again, especially here in the Silicon Valley, around all the consequences and all the discrimination that AI or around AI. And I got to a point where I'm like, okay, here we go again. We are talking about AI. We are talking about all the implications. We are talking about the population that is being affected, which is the minority or the underrepresented population. And people are not aware. And AI is going to be everywhere, and people are not aware that the AI is already everywhere. I felt this urge to do something. I felt this urge to like, okay, I'm here. I'm learning about AI. I'm learning all the consequences that AI is having, all the bad consequences, but people around the world, they don't know. And they are going to be the ones suffering the most. So I said, okay, what can I do? Great. I know how to create communities. And I know that by creating communities and by having communities in local communities, that's the best way for you to share knowledge, especially in places where I personally cannot reach, but the community can reach. So that's how AI Inclusive came together. Was I want to create another organization where we first are going to bring awareness around the issues of AI. And then we are going to empower those communities to learn about AI and to get into the workforce and change the whole scenario. Because again, one of the problems of, especially back then, of the algorithms were that the algorithms were developed by white men, so they were very biased. The data that was feeding those algorithms were also like very biased. So there was a whole issue that we needed to change.
I feel like we're talking about like regulations in AI, and I'm curious what you think about like how the US has way less regulations when it comes to, you know, AI innovation compared to other continents like Europe, etc.
Yeah, we are definitely behind it. And we have been behind on all the AI regulation. Europe is far ahead of us in terms of regulation and what can be done and what can not be done. So my hope is that we get to the same place.
The fact that there's so little regulation in the US, that's what gives the US the ability to innovate fast. And that's why we've seen the major foundational models or the major players in AI are based in the US.
Yeah, it might be regulation, but I think it's more than that. I think because historically, the innovation and the money and the supports we have in the US. Like if you think about even like from the universe and resources, like if you even think about GPUs and the money, like it's all here. So in a way, you have more opportunities to innovate because of the resources.
I kind of agree. I feel like even in India, the regulations aren't that strict, but a lot of people that like have ideas from India have to come eventually to the US because we have like the infrastructure, the resources, and even just community, which I feel like is lacking in a lot of other countries. Going back to like RLadies and AI Inclusive, the biggest takeaway, even for me and Ryan, like we wanted to start this podcast and we're realizing that as you give back to the community, you learn a lot more. Like the whole intention is, I want people to learn. And we were talking and we were like, we're learning more than anyone else right now.
you learn as you go. And the best way to learn is either talking to people or teaching.
Pivoting to like early career people, this is a question we receive very often. So curious what you think about it. How can early professionals best prepare themselves for a future in AI and data science? I know a lot of our audience is like, they don't know which path to take. What is the best way to get started? So what do you think?
My take is go around, see what the companies are asking for, and then use that as a proxy of like the things that you want to learn and need to learn. Before thinking about the future of AI and data science, which career path to take, is be sure that whatever you are reading is trustworthy. Like the people that you are following, they have the path or they have done what they are saying or selling that they have done. There is one person that was selling this, saying that he got offers from all the main companies. And this is a trick that you all should do if you want to get an offer from all these companies. And then in the comments, I liked one people said, "Oh, show me the offers," because it's easy to just say that you got all the offers. And then the author was like, "Oh, let me show you." And then he got the screenshot of the offers, and they were not from all the companies he was saying, and it was all internships, not full time. Oof. So be careful what people are selling. So that's the first thing. The second piece is like, there is a lot of noise of like data science or this thing will die. SQL is dead. Like, don't learn SQL because SQL is dead. Or don't become a software engineer because now 20% of our code is AI generated, which sure, it is AI generated. Google shared this number, but they still need software engineers to go and review the code.
So I've been building an AI for a while, and I've noticed a common mix-up between, the concept of just automation and the concept of agentic AI, so like AI agents. And I was wondering if if we could like dive deeper into how you would distinguish between the two, using more, rule-based mechanisms rather than actual reasoning. I guess, do you get the idea, or do you want me to like...
So automation, AI agent, chatbots, and scraping websites. Like, what is the difference between all of those things? And AI agent is such a newer field that if you ask around, every person will have a different definition of what an AI agent is. For me, in one sentence, is like an agent that can do some action for you.
Mm-hmm.
Very simple. I'm not going to like the complicated piece, but they can do something for you. There is a lot of discussion, and I'm part of like different groups where we are defining not only what AI agents are, but like what are the protocols in terms of like security as well. Like right now, there is not much. Like they can come and go and take control of your computer. What are the security pieces that we need to have in place? Do we need something that is standard across the industry? So there is a lot of like questions that we don't know the answer. But to your point, automation, give me an example of automation, and then we can discuss if it's like AI agent type of work or...
A system, every time it receives hi, it answers with "how are you?" So it's a bunch of rules that are all aggregated into one system, rather than having some sort of actual reasoning, understanding semantics, and taking action dynamically, really. When it's not just static code, but it's more so the agent adapts based on the environment, based on the scenario. So it learns about everything that's around it and just starts communicating.
What we are seeing is like we are going to have a swarm of AI agents. We have different AI agents depending on what you want to do. Also, like we are not there yet. They don't know much about you, and that's the safety or security or privacy piece that we as leader, we still need to figure out. Automation, the rule base, I would say it's in a smaller scale, where the AI agent also like it's more like on a larger scale as well.
Yeah, I totally agree. And also on that specific piece where you spoke about scraping, I feel like AIs can have a huge impact on web scraping. I was looking at this company a few weeks ago, I think it's called Firecrawl. I tried their platform, and they help you basically get the data you need from any website. It's basically they're building a worldwide API. So the AI basically goes through the HTML code, spots specific areas of the website, gets that data for you. I can send you the link after this meeting.
And right now they are able to do that. But I know that in a few months, they'll probably not be able to do that because the companies are going to be putting some kind of like guardrails where you can, like, I know that it's different from chatbots or bots. You are able to block them because of like IP address and other components. But the AI agent is going to be something similar.
So as the director of AI at Microsoft for startups and also a part of the NEO Accelerator, you definitely work very closely with early and growth stage companies. So from your experience, what do you see as the biggest advantage AI offers to these startups in terms of scaling and also innovation?
More than scaling and innovation is like if you don't say that you are doing AI, you are not going to get any funding. So you need to have AI somewhere in your product, first of all, so you can get some funding. Otherwise, VCs will not fund you.
The bare minimum.
But in terms of like scaling innovation is the ability of being fast. Now you can build a prototype or MVP much, much, much faster than a few years because of like not only like the AI capabilities, but the products like Replit,
even Cursor, even the AI native IDE is insane.
Yeah,
I use
lovable.
it for everything.
Lovable too.
Yeah, the speed and scale is now like you can just innovate so much faster than you could ever before. Like think back to like companies that took months to build it, and now you can do those things in like days or hours.
Exactly. You can mimic like an app or website in a few prompts.
100%. You made the joke about the AI part. I want to talk about it because I've seen like nowadays like many builders like they seem to chase the latest buzzwords, generative AI, agentic AI, robotics AI, and then they try to build a solution around them. Just instead of just going the traditional way, which has always been to start with a deep understanding of a specific problem, a specific industry, and then determine how to apply intelligence to solve it. And I was wondering what's your perspective about this?
Absolutely. So you should go the other way around. You need to identify what are the pain points that people have, and then try to solve it or find a solution or build a solution that is going to help. The technology come after, but you need to know if you will have customers to be using what you are trying to build or thinking about building. If you build something fantastic, but you don't have customers, then it's a waste.
No, I agree. I feel like a lot of times the cool new shiny toy is what everyone looks at, and then where's the actual problem that gets lost somewhere. So talking so much about AI, let's just want to get your perspective looking ahead into the future. Like what excites you the most about where AI is heading, and any trends or big breakthroughs that you think people should pay a little bit more attention towards?
People in general should be using AI no matter where you are, in which field or type of work that you do. You should be incorporating AI in some capacity. That's what I tell everybody. And us here, we live in a bubble in a way. So, but there are some people that are going to be listening to this that are not in this bubble that we are.
Mm-hmm.
And even like to understand the concept of like using ChatGPT, or they never use ChatGPT. And believe me or not, believe me that I know people that they never used ChatGPT before. So first of all, it's like making sure that you are using some kind of like AI-based technology, that you are experimenting, that you know the capabilities. I would say that there are a lot of things that excite me, but there are much more or many more things that scare me.
I like that answer.
I am much more scared than excited about the AI. Going back to the regulation and everything and the AI agents, I was thinking like, what about if all these AI agents, they talk to each other and they can create something like that is harmful, which they can do. I'll give another example of like something that it's real. It happened back then when they were testing or building all the self-driving cars. Things like if you have an image of like a stop sign and you disturb the pixel of that stop sign, if you put a sticker, the self-driving car would understand that not as a stop sign, but as like 80 miles per hour. So like they would accelerate. So there are a lot of things that you could do that you can, it's like adversarial attacks that you could do that people are not aware. Another one is like, also there are some examples that you can find. You would get audio, and then let's say I have Alexa at home, and then I got an audio from a friend, and it looks like it's a music, but there is some noise where we humans cannot differentiate, that we cannot listen to this noise, but Alexa can. And one of the cases was like the noise was interfering with Alexa saying, "Oh, turn off all the alarm system."
Wow.
And then someone would come to you. So there are a lot of like ways that you can attack the systems.
I was just, so do you think AI agents will be able to communicate in a language, let's say maybe audio waves, I don't know, that we humans can't understand?
We don't know. And that's the thing that scares me. It's like if we don't have people testing, trying things, and we do have, and just opening a parenthesis over here, in especially big companies, we do have teams that are specialized in attacking the system to see how the system will behave.
That's actually exactly the team I'm working on at Google. We deal with security, and it's so hard. A lot of people ask me, they're like, "Oh, why don't you just like use AI to automate it?" And even giving them that kind of data is scary, because what if they train on it, and if they make a mistake when it's like the weather, it's like okay, but if they make a mistake and it could lead to something like a bad actor, a malicious actor coming in and potentially destroying the company, there's a lot more implications for sure. So having been on the security team, I feel like the way I think about AI is very much more like from a careful perspective rather than, oh, it can do so much, you know?
Yeah, so it's called red teaming or red team. Very common at the cybersecurity space, but more and more common nowadays on the AI side of things. And another piece is like companies, they pay you if you discover, and they have programs called, I think it's called bounty programs. Yeah, if you discover something, you are going to get X amount of dollars, you are going to get some recognition, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But we can't deny that today, it's just like, it's a life enhancer, whether you're, I don't know, a software engineer, a trader, just anything you do in your life. If you don't use AI, you'll definitely, your competition is going to outperform you for sure if they leverage AI in the day to day. So I feel like you don't have a choice but to use AI with everything that you do. I guess to wrap up, are there any specific papers or articles you'd recommend to get a better understanding of where, I don't know, Microsoft and OpenAI is heading with AI?
There are papers or articles, but more than that, I like to follow people that I trust. So there are some key people in the industry or in academia that I trust, and I follow them and see what they are talking about. I'm beyond the technology. Technology is great, but I want to know, how are those people using the technology? What are they thinking about the technology? How can I understand as well and have a critical thinking about the AI capabilities as well? So I don't have any specific paper or article. I would say it's more about people, especially because things are changing so much and rapidly that I feel like we read less and less articles or papers, or unless you are in a research position. But in general, at Microsoft and other companies, you have a whole learning website where you can take courses for free. They have career paths. They have certifications that you can take. So if you want to learn more about certain technologies or some certain methodologies or programs, Microsoft offers a whole learning experience for you to try and take yourself. And on top of that, if you like videos, there are a lot of videos on YouTube from Microsoft channels as well.
Mm-hmm.
For us at AWS, at Bedrock, which is our AI division, we do have also a lot of ways for people to get started and interact with, AI services that we offer. I was wondering if what social media platform do you use the most to get your AI information?
I have some people on X. They still use pretty much X. They don't use LinkedIn as much. So there are some people that only publish on X. So I use X to follow them. And then LinkedIn is the main two social media platforms that I use.
Our podcast is obviously called 0 to 1, and we ask this one fun question to all our guests at the end. And that question is, through your journey from 0, which is where you began, to the 1 that you are today, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned, and how has it shaped your path?
There is a motto or like a sentence that I always think about, that there is no failure, only feedback. So I always think about that. Like, even if you are failing or if something happened to you, it's a feedback for you to improve. It's something that I still use on my everyday job. If I'm talking to my manager, I say, this didn't work, but do you have any feedback? Or how can I improve? So it's being open to feedback is the best way for you to improve. I have so many. I don't know if it's the most valuable one, but the other one is okay to say, I don't know. It's another great way for you to learn. When I say, I don't know, can you explain to me? And then you learn something and this is something that I feel like as you get older and more experience, you feel more confident on saying, I don't know. Yeah, one of the things that I want to call out that I'm trying to do more because of, again, all the noise on social media is trying to be more active. I was not as active on LinkedIn. I was a little bit on X and even Instagram, because Instagram is huge in some countries. Mm-hmm. Not as much in the US, but in Brazil, for example. So I'm trying to share more. One example is every month I'm hosting a webinar where I share some tips as a hiring manager for the people to craft their resume, what the hiring managers are looking for, how can you get better on your speech, or when you are selling yourself, the importance of networking and so on. So I share a lot of tips.
As a professional in the field, I feel like you learn over time and you don't even realize what you learn. And then you talk to someone and they will have never heard of that before. So really bridging that gap, I think, is super important. So thank you for doing that. I'm sure it's very helpful for people.
There are a lot of things that is coming, and I'm doing the Startup Spotlight series where I talk to AI startup founders. There are a lot of things to come this year.
Mm-hmm. We're super excited, and obviously we are following you and looking at your journey too. So thank you, first of all, Gabriela, for joining us. We are very, very fortunate to be able to talk to you and also share your knowledge. For everyone listening, check out the Startup Spotlight series. Of course, check out Gabriela's initiatives, which is RLadies that we discussed, as well as AI Inclusive. Be a part of the community. Gabriela also has some amazing courses on Coursera and edX. So we'll have all the links in our video. Definitely check them out. And yeah, thank you so much. We are super duper excited to even just talking to you. So really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you so much. It was a great chat.